In December 2023, the most powerful man in North Korea stood before a hall of mothers and wept. 3 million of his own people had already starved. He was crying about something worse. He was not crying about hunger. He was not crying about missiles. He was crying because North Korean women had stopped having children. The Bank of Korea had quietly published the real number. 1.38, not 1.7. Not to 1.38 children per woman. That is lower than Japan, lower than Germany. It is nearly as low as South Korea, the country North Korea calls its mortal enemy. A poor country with a rich country's birth rate problem. That is not supposed to happen, and nobody is talking about it. When I started researching this video, I assumed the story was starvation. I was wrong. Starvation is what you see. What is happening beneath it is a civilization running out of people. By 2100, North Korea is projected to lose 26.5% of its entire population. A country that already starved 3 million people is now slowly disappearing. Think about what 26.5% means. Imagine every single person in Pyongyang gone. Then imagine the next 3 largest North Korean cities gone too. To understand why North Korean women stopped having children, you have to go back to the 1990s. 3 million people dead in a famine that the government refused to call a famine. That famine never truly ended. By 2022, the United Nations reported that 40% of North Koreans were malnourished, not hungry. Malnourished. There is a difference. Hungry means you missed a meal. Malnourished means your body is consuming itself. It means your children are born smaller, weaker, less likely to survive. So women made a calculation, not a political calculation, a survival calculation. Why bring a child into a country that cannot feed the ones it already has? And here is the open loop that nobody in Pyongyang wants to close. The regime built its entire power on 2 pillars: fear and population. It is running out of both. Today, 12 million North Koreans are undernourished. That is nearly half the country. Half. A nation where being born is a risk that half the population did not ask for. I want you to subscribe only if you want the version of history nobody is reporting. Every story on this channel is still unfolding in real time, new one every week. North Korea has 1.3 million active soldiers. That is the 4th largest army on the planet, in a country of 26 million people. Do the arithmetic. 1 soldier for every 20 civilians. Every young man between 18 and 28 is inside that army, not farming, not having children, standing in formation. North Korea didn't build an army to protect its people. It built an army instead of having them. That is not rhetoric. That is the arithmetic. 5% of the entire North Korean population is in active military service. No country in the world comes close to that ratio. Not Russia, not Israel. Nobody. Every young man taken into the military is a young man not building a house, not starting a family, not producing food. The army is not defending the economy. It is replacing it. And now, 20% of recruits are women. Not by choice, by necessity. The male pool is shrinking. Women who could have been mothers are standing in anti-aircraft artillery units instead. The regime solved its military gap by removing the very people it needed to produce the next generation. So, what did the regime do? What any authoritarian government does when it runs out of answers? It issued an order: have more children, or else. In 2015, North Korea banned abortion. It banned contraception. It told women to have children for the motherland. The birth rate kept falling anyway, because banning abortion does not create food. It does not build hospitals. It does not give a young couple a reason to believe that tomorrow will be better than today. By 2025, 14% of North Korea's population was 65 or older. That is the definition of an aging society. A society consuming its past to feed a present it cannot sustain. This is not a future problem. This is happening now. The working age population is already beginning to shrink. The army will feel it first, then the factories, then the farms. When I covered Japan, I saw a dying beauty, a country choosing comfort over children. North Korea is different. North Korea's women are not choosing comfort, they are choosing survival. That distinction matters. Japan can reverse course with policy and wealth. North Korea cannot. There is no policy that solves hunger. There is no maternity bonus that feeds a family the state has already failed. And now the country's ruler is racing against his own census data. He needs soldiers. He needs workers. He needs children. He is getting none of the three fast enough. The clock is running. There is a point in every demographic collapse where the numbers stop being a warning and become a sentence. North Korea crossed that point without anyone outside noticing. In the 1990s, the fertility rate was 1.91. Then the famine hit. Then it dropped to 1.59. Then 1.38. Each number is not a statistic. Each number is a generation that does not exist. Economies need workers. Workers need to be born. You cannot draft a worker who was never conceived. You cannot conscript a soldier who does not exist. By 2100, North Korea is projected to have 19.6 million people. A country that today has 26 million will shed 7 million human beings. Not to war, not to plague, to a slow refusal to be born. 7 million people. Imagine the entire population of Hong Kong, removed, quietly, over the course of a century. That is what silence in the maternity ward does at national scale. The regime knows. That is the most damning part. It knows, and its only answer is to tell women to try harder, to be more patriotic, to sacrifice more of themselves for a system that has already taken everything. This is the moment I step back from the data and say what the data actually means. North Korea is not experiencing a population problem. It is experiencing 70 years of a government that treated its people as instruments, not as human beings. Here is the question analysts are not asking. North Korea has 1.3 million active soldiers today. What happens when the generation needed to replace them simply does not exist? It cannot. An army without recruits is not an army. It is a budget. A nuclear program without engineers to maintain it is not a deterrent. It is a liability. 30% of North Korea's entire population is in active or reserve military roles. 30%. In a country where half the people do not have enough to eat. The soldiers who should be fathers are in barracks. The women who should be mothers are in artillery units. The children who were never born cannot save a country that spent everything on guns it cannot afford to fire. What does it mean for the rest of the world? Can a nuclear state in demographic freefall be reasoned with? Can it be deterred? Or does desperation make it more dangerous, not less? History is clear on this. Regimes facing collapse do not become more cautious, they become more reckless. The fewer options a government has, the more likely it reaches for the one option that cannot be ignored. Here is the arithmetic wall. You cannot ban your way out of a birth rate collapse. You cannot imprison a fertility rate into rising. You cannot parade your way to a demographic recovery. North Korea records 801 births per day. South Korea, with a similar-sized population and the world's worst fertility rate, records more. The Hermit Kingdom is now losing the one race it cannot fight with missiles. Countries with genuine poverty tend to have high fertility. Children are labor. Children are insurance. Children are the retirement plan when there is no pension. North Korea broke even that rule, which means something much darker is at work. What is darker? This. North Korean women know, with more certainty than almost any women on earth, that their children will be conscripted, that their sons will disappear into a military for a decade, that their daughters may follow. They are not refusing to have children out of comfort or ambition. They are refusing because the state has made parenthood feel like grief deferred. The child you raise, the state will take. So what happens next? There are only three outcomes for a nuclear state in demographic and economic decline: reform, collapse, or escalation. Pyongyang has ruled out the first. It cannot afford the second. That leaves one. By 2030, North Korea's working-age population is projected to begin falling. That is 4 years away. 4 years before the economic base of the entire regime starts to hollow out from beneath it. China watches this carefully. A destabilized North Korea on its border is not an asset, it is a catastrophe. 1 million refugees, a nuclear arsenal with no clear chain of command. Beijing has no good options either. Go back to that hall in Pyongyang. December 2023. The most powerful man in the country, weeping in front of the mothers of a nation he had already half-starved. Those tears were real, I believe that. But they were not tears for the people. They were tears for the system. He was not mourning the women who had nothing. He was mourning the soldiers who would never be born to serve him. North Korea did not run out of children because its women failed. It ran out of children because it treated its people as fuel, and fuel eventually runs out. That is not a metaphor. That is the arithmetic of what North Korea has become. Leave your answer in the comments. Can a state survive when it has consumed the very people it was built to govern? Or is North Korea already the answer to that question, and none of us are willing to say it yet?